What's up, guys? Welcome back to another HERR Lounge podcast. This podcast is brought to you by HERR Apparel. We got a ton of new summer stuff, guys, and I'd like to say go on there and get you a swimsuit for the summer, but I'm pretty much sold out. There's like one of the two-piece and I think three of the one-piece, or the one piece. So but still, go on there. There's a bunch of cute dresses. We got a bunch of new stuff. The top that you see in this video is from HERR Apparel. I like to wear it right now because, you know, it's kind of like cute. You can make it. I wore it actually to work the other day as well with jeans, so it looked cute. Anyways, I will be having more show and tells on my YouTube channel, so go on there and subscribe. All about HERR. And then before we get started, you guys knew I like to start with a positive quote. Your entire life can really change in a year. You just have to love yourself enough to know you deserve more. Be brave enough to demand more, and be disciplined enough to actually work for more. So Dana Lynn Bailey, this is the reason why I found this one, made a comment, or she posted something, and it was her basically like in her perfect body, right?
You're
like
right.
Zero fat.
Perfect to us, disgusting to others. But
Yeah, I know. A lot of people think that's gross. But to me...
You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
There's like absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, she's got zero body fat. It's skin. I don't know. Anyway, I would never want to look like that. I've always said that. But she has a badass body, regardless.
Would you, if you could, do it for like a week, and then you can come back to your regular self? Would you take that pill? Like if I said, here's a pill, you'll be DLB for 7 days.
Probably.
Yeah, right. You gotta at least experience it.
I gotta know what that feels like to have just
walk around where you know
like
that she feels dense. She probably feels like dense, solid, fast as fuck.
Yeah, like you have like nothing happening.
All eyes on you.
Yeah, it's like pretty dope. She made a post about fuck motivation. It's discipline.
I love those takes.
Yeah,
from
and
people.
so it's funny because when you talk about these things, right? About, you know, we're going into half the year, right? We're literally when you guys get this, it's one day before June 1st, right?
Yep, it'll be May 31st.
It'll be May 31st when you guys get this. The next day is literally June 1st, halfway through 2023.
Yeah.
How insane is that?
Super insane, more insane. By the way, I got to say, I love being back in studio. It's a very nice feeling. It's such a good feeling.
I don't like Zooms.
I know it's good when you have to, but it's great to be in studio.
Pete
Also,
loves the Zooms.
does he?
He loves that he wakes up, makes coffee, and goes to our his little nook. The little studio that he created in there. He absolutely loves that, and I'm not going to say I dislike it, but I'm not going to say I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I like it for cafecito time.
Yeah, that's fun.
Because, you know, it's early in the morning. It makes sense to me. Like, I'm still in my robe. It kind of goes all with the
It's actually on theme. Yeah.
So, like, I don't mind it then, but not for my podcast for some reason. I don't know why. But yes, it feels very nice to be back. I like the first thing I text Juan was like, is my podcast room ready? I'm like, I'd like to go today. So, but yes.
While you take a sip of that, on to continue with the theme, I was listening to a podcast, Andy Frisella's podcast, and he also had a rant this morning about motivation versus discipline. On one of his episodes, he does the Q&A, and one of the questions was from a listener like, hey, I get these bouts of inspiration for like 2 months, and then I fall off, and I get into this rut, and blah, blah. So it was like a motivation versus discipline rant, but tell me what DLB said.
Well, DLB basically said... like it's discipline, because you can't have motivation without discipline. Mm-hmm. And when she said that, it's almost like the little emoji with the brain like popping, like exploding, because I mean, it makes total sense, because in order to be motivated, you have to have discipline. And in order to have discipline, you have to have some kind of system set in place so that they can all go, you know, together.
Right.
And so, So one thing that I think I've told you guys is like I feel like ever since the pandemic, I just can't get back on track. Like my train derailed, and it has stayed derailed for a hot minute. While I was somebody that was super duper like, it's this, it's next. Everything had its thing to do. I fell off. And like checking emails, I'm so bad about it now. Like it's like, oh, I'll do it at 12.
Dude, following up is so hard for some reason now.
It is. And it's like, okay, I'll check at 12. So now I've made it to where I don't check my emails early in the morning, so it doesn't stress out my day early in the morning. Does that make sense? So we literally have gone back to setting the schedule on Sunday. I usually text Luisa the night before, like what her schedule is the next day, like what time to come in. And I told Pete I don't want to do that anymore, because if we have a time for her to come in, then that makes us disciplined to start the day at a certain time, right? When she comes in, it's go, right? But we kind of always do it at our convenience. Does that make sense? It's like, okay, well, let her come in today at this time because I don't want to do everything this early in the morning, right? Yeah. And that's lack of discipline, not so much motivation. So now I feel like when I say I'm just not motivated to work out like I used to be, well, when I sat there and thought about it, I was like, no, you're not disciplined enough.
That's a hard reality. You gotta,
big time. I literally was like, you're not disciplined enough to go back to what I was disciplined before.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't touch anything I wasn't supposed to eat. I was traveling on tour with Chingo and still would stay on my menu.
You know how many people are listening to you right now saying the exact same thing? Like, what? They're having the same emoji realization you just had earlier about like, what happened? Why am I so undisciplined?
It derailed us. I think it derailed everybody financially, maybe self-care wise, just a lot of things. I think this pandemic did something to everybody in different ways maybe, but it did something to everyone. For me, it was the discipline that I had before. And I'm not going to say the motivation anymore, because when I read her caption, you know what? I should kind of read it.
Yeah, find it.
So that...
Pull it up, because a lot of people don't know how to distinguish like motivation versus, well, there's motivation, inspiration, right? And then you have discipline. Mm-hmm. And people think that you have to have the first two in order to consider yourself as being disciplined. But really, if you had the discipline, you don't need the other two. The other two are just byproducts of you having discipline, because then you'll find inspiration in just random things, and you'll find motivation in random things because you're already disciplined. You don't need a particular thing to occur in order for you to have whatever outcome you want. And it's so funny, dude. I paused the book I was listening to in Sealy. So I drove from San Marcos to Sealy, and then it said something that triggered. And you ever have a conversation with yourself in the car?
Totally.
I know you do, because Saul and I are very similar in this way, where you have to say it out loud in order for you to kind of like get what you just read. And I just did that from Sealy all the way here, which was like another hour.
Yeah.
In silence with my own thoughts, just talking out loud.
I've done that. Like I don't know what I told Pete one time. I said, have you ever just gone in the car and just not listened to anything? And he was like,
He probably said no, huh?
He's like, maybe for a little bit. He's like, but then I just put on, his is a podcast. I don't know that he listens to music as much as he used to.
Same.
Yeah. So he was like, no, then I'll just turn on a podcast. And for me, it's been like just driving there. But then when I'm just like too much I've missed my exit.
Yeah.
From like, I'm so in my thoughts, I'm just driving. But Rob, that's why running for me was a big thing.
I hear that from people. Yeah.
Running for me was a big thing back then, because it was my way of it was like my way of clearing my mind, because all I had really were my thoughts, my headphones, and these 3 miles that I had to go around. So within those 3 miles, it gave me enough time for solutions. Mm-hmm. It was the craziest thing. And so that's what running does to me. I don't like running, but I'm a slow runner. I'm definitely a distance runner. I love going a hot minute, you know what I'm saying? But again, it's because for me, that allows me to think. When I was training for the half marathon, I remember, my girlfriend was training for the full marathon, and I remember I said, oh my God, how the hell can, so they would make us train the same way. They give you like a sheet, the running group or whatever, and they give you like, this is your trail today, this is your run, right? When you're kind of training for these things. So I remember I told her, I'm like, how the hell are you able to do this trail? I said, without any music. She goes, you should try it. She goes, it's very relaxing to hear. Because these were trails. And they were all the way, sometimes they were out in Huntsville. Like, these were, like, out there because they wanted you to, like, I guess, especially for the full marathon runners, it gave them an ability to kind of, like, have different types of, I guess, platform, like the ground, I guess. Anyway, I don't really know. I was just part of a running club. So I wish I had an answer for y'all guys. But anyway, she just said, no. Have you ever just tried listening to the birds and the wind and the trees, the leaves, like the sound they make? I was like, no, that doesn't even sound fun to me. I think that would make me think about how much longer I have to go. I mean, at this point, I think we were at the 10 mile point where we were running at that point. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, no, I don't want to run 10 miles just listening to birds. Like, I need something to keep me going. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because for her, it was her therapy, her like Zen, and her way of getting her thoughts together was by listening to nature. And then I remember when I was trying, like early on after I had Sunny, I remember I tried going to the park and I tried to run and I couldn't run. I was so out of shape, you know? And so I walked the 3 miles, pretty upset at myself. Like, have you ever been mad where you want to cry, but there's no cry? It's just like, kind of, have you ever, has
For
that
sure.
ever happened?
I had to have. Yeah.
So I was kind of really disappointed in myself.
But it's usually at people, not necessarily like at a thing. You know what I mean?
I was mad at myself. I was like, oh my God, you're so heavy to where you can't even run a full mile. Like, you know, and then it was like, as I was walking, I was like, well, yeah, you just kind of had a baby like 7 months ago. It was when I had just stopped breastfeeding. And so I was like trying like, okay, well, I don't have to breastfeed anymore. I don't have to worry about trying to like eat and keep this supply going. So let me get back at it. And then I just like really weird. Memorial Park has changed. So there's a lot of more nature and water out there. So it's so pretty now, even though they just found a skull.
Cool.
All this money they just spent on this beautiful park. Now you have to pay. You didn't have to pay to park there. Now you pay to park there. I mean, it's just really cool. They even have like an ice cream person park their little their little like ice cream truck, and like coffee shop there also, like a little coffee stand so you can get stuff. So they've gone all out now. So now it's like so pretty, and I just like was like having to talk to myself, and it was like the nicest self-talk ever. And then I just got over it. It was like okay, you pouting about it for a hot second, but her caption wasn't very long, DLBs, before I go back to that. She just said, F your motivation. It's the clear difference between people. The ones that are successful are disciplined, not motivated. Motivation has nothing to do with it.
That's a clip right there. Yeah, I totally agree, man. And what some people that in itself is a hard pill to swallow. Another thing is that you might think you want to do something, and anytime I say anything on any podcast, whether it's mine or somebody else that I co-host or produce or whatever, I have said it to myself before, which is why I'm saying it out loud, is that they're all hard pills to swallow, and you might want to do something so bad and think you're good enough to do it, but the fact is that you're not doing enough. You're not doing what's required for the outcome. You're just not. Sol and I are not in the best shapes of our life. We've been in great shape before. I know we have. Why is it that we're not motivated? No, we want that fucking outcome.
Yeah,
but the facts are you haven't put in the work that's required to get that outcome.
No,
there's no discipline.
Like, so the last 2 weeks that I've like kind of sat down and I just like had a conversation with Chingo, and I just said, we're going into like half of the year. I was like, the next half of the year has to be getting it together. I was like, because, well, one, I'm having surgery finally.
Oh, yeah?
So I've gotten all the checkups and everything. So I think the date's going to be in July. The umbilical surgeon is talking to my OBGYN so that they can do it at the same time.
The fibroids?
I'm getting fibroids, a hysterectomy, and a hernia. All done at the same time. Exactly.
Oh, my God.
So it'll be quite interesting. And And it's funny because when I went to go to see the hernia doctor, he was just like, the surgeon, he was just like, so how long have you had your belly button like that? And I said, I don't know, maybe like I'm going on 5 years. I said, it wasn't this bad when I had my first child. I said, it got worse after my second. He was like, yeah. And I was like, told Pete, I was like, I was so embarrassed because him and his assistant are looking at each other like, ew. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's pretty bad, guys. No need to sit there and look at each other like that. But I was just, so basically they make 2 incisions on the side and 1 by the belly button. And then they go in and put this mesh there. Mm-hmm. They take out, I guess, whatever and put a mesh. So when the mesh is trying to like, I guess like bind. Stick to the skin, mm-hmm. that's where the pain is, he said. So he said, I said, will this be painful? He goes, yeah, you'll be in pain for like at least 3 days. He's like, it'll be painful. He goes, but don't worry, I'll give you pain medication. And I was just like, oh my God. And so if you guys have been following me for a while, then you know who my friend Sean is. He's friend/trainer. He's had a hernia fixed. And I remember he said his happened again. But obviously you see how big he is. Yeah. So, I mean, he's swole as hell. So I texted him. I said, hey, my doctor said I'm going to be in pain for 3 days. He goes, oh, yeah, you are. He's like, at least 2. He goes, the 3rd day might be a little bit better. He's like, but for sure, that 1st and 2nd day, you're going to hate everybody. I was like, oh, my God.
But I already hate everybody. Yeah. What's going to happen?
I was like, don't tell me that. I was like, yes.
Whose head am I going to bite off for real?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm not looking forward to that at all. So she'll come in first, and she'll do her surgery. We'll do the removal of the uterus, the removal of the fibroids, and then he'll come in and do his jam, and then she'll come back in and close me up.
Sew you up.
So it will be quite interesting. I don't know what I'll be, but at least I won't have this 4-month-old uterus anymore. And I was telling Don, I was like, you know, Dr. Tran, sometimes I just don't like her.
She's a straight shooter.
She is. And it's just like, so you're not going to have, she goes, so you're not going to look pregnant anymore after we get this removed. And I'm just looking at her. She goes, you see that belly? Put your hand right here. And she's like telling me, she goes, you see what that does? And I'm like, mm-hmm. She goes, that's a 4-month pregnancy right there. And I'm just looking at her. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, okay, so you're not going to have that. And I was like, okay, thanks. But
best in the business.
Crazy thing. The umbilical surgeon said that a hernia can also cause swelling. He's like, do you ever feel bloated? I said, yes. And I always thought the bloating came from my fibroids and the uterus being so, because it's swollen. The uterus is swollen is technically what's happening because of the fibroids. So I always thought it was due to the fibroids. But the hernia can also do that.
Really?
The hernia, he's like, causes swelling inside.
Did Dawn tell you about her friend Shauna? We had her on the podcast. She had a similar, I don't know what procedure she had.
She had the same one I did, and she said she lost 20 pounds.
Have you seen a picture of her?
No.
She's almost unrecognizable.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was telling me about it. So
I know that makes you excited, like to have that outcome.
Well, yes, because now I can really see like what I'm working like.
And also it takes some of the pressure off because it wasn't due to lack of action. It was just a condition.
Yeah, it was my condition. So, you know, I'm just glad it's going to finally happen. Finally saw him. They're going to connect so that they can make the date happen. And then that's it. So I did ask for it to happen in July because Pete's shows, Penny's getting out of school. I'm going to put her in a little camp, and I think I need a month to get everybody's routine going for the summer. So I did ask for it to happen in July, even though her birthday's in July, Mickey's birthday's in July, and then Sunny's right after her. So, but Penny wants the same thing. She wants to have it at the same jumpy place. So it might just be there, and that makes it way easier than planning a whole shebang.
Pool party.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that again. But yeah, so I'm finally having that, and that was lack of discipline of making the appointments, staying on like who I'm going to go with. Shout out to Dr. Jeremy because he was the one that referred me to this person. And the problem is when you have insurance, not everybody takes your insurance. So I was having to go to this doctor, that doctor. He took me straight to the source, to the person who does. So it's going to all work out.
Contacts like that are almost
exactly.
priceless.
Yeah. So now that I know that he does that, I'm so happy. So if I just need to find out if the anesthesiologist takes my insurance, and then we're good to go. And that's the last person I need to deal with.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get a date, and then I will be MIA for a little bit. So once I get a date, guys, a lot of our episodes will probably be re-recorded, like pre-recorded way in advance.
Extra pre-recorded.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're like, what's happening? I just will be MIA.
Which we did this for the baby. We did this for
the baby. Yeah. I will be, so I can actually, I just need a week off. Mm-hmm. Week 2, I can finally drive myself. They said, if you have a sitting job, right, you can do that. They both said, I can't even lift like your kid's backpack. Like that's how serious it is.
Which was pretty similar to when you gave birth, was it not? Like you were down and out for a while.
Yeah, but you're carrying a baby though. They don't want you to carry even the baby. Like I couldn't carry Sunny.
Right, you couldn't, right? You were shuffling around for a little bit.
I mean, I still had to carry Sunny because I had to breastfeed her.
Oh, Jesus.
So I didn't have a choice then. But that was okay because she wasn't that heavy. Right now, this baby is not like 6-7 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I think he said no more than 10 pounds first 2 weeks. Then the next 2 weeks, it's like try not to lift anything. Like the 10 pounds is like where they want to keep you at. 20 if you have to.
Yeah.
Which would mean maybe like bringing in grocery bags or you know what I'm saying? I'm just not, but I'm scared. So I'm not messing it with all. I'm not. That's why I'm trying to like stay disciplined. Exactly. With my workouts.
Luisa.
So that in July, when this happens, I've already become disciplined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then when this is done, and the first thing I asked was, I said, so how long before I can honestly get back to the gym? And he goes, well, that's an odd question. Like, he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. He's like 8 weeks until I check you. And I don't know if in 8 weeks, it'll just kind of all depend how your stuff is working. So 8 weeks.
But you could walk and stuff, right? So you go for walks.
So that's what I'm okay with that because I go on walks every night with the girls.
Good.
So you know what I'm saying?
Those steps add up.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So I try to get 10,000 steps a day at least.
That's if you can do that, you are killing it.
Yeah, I try my best. At least I make the goal out of 7 days. I say 4 out of the 7 get to the 10,000.
That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. If I could just get it all 7 days, I'd be super happy. That's my goal. That's on my little goal on when I come in. I don't have to do I've come to the realization that, okay, so you're not doing like crazy cardio, which you probably should, right? But if you can't get it in, I always say, if you can't get in cardio, remember to walk.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I see constantly. So then I try to tell myself, okay, remember to walk, don't forget, you know? And I know you're thinking like, yeah, we walk. Yeah, but we also sit a lot, especially if you have a desk job, you're probably sitting, unless your company has one of those standing desks,
or your
driving job. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that consist of us sitting.
Dude,
we're
lot. So sedentary.
Yeah.
So often.
We are.
So when you look at your activity, like I want to lose weight, right? It's like, but I work out 1 hour a week, or rather 1 hour a day, like 4 or 5 times a week. Like just think of how long you're sitting, you're sedentary, and then you're also like eating. If you just maintain the same diet and you're only working out an hour a day, like that's not enough. You do have to get the steps. You do have to get the extra activity. You got, NEAT, the NEAT, the NEAT, whatever the acronym was that trainers use, where it's like non-something thermogenesis. So like basically activities that you do that aren't planned, like your walks or like parking further away, taking the stairs versus the elevator. All those things add up.
At the airport, that's usually what Pete and I do when we're traveling for work.
You park far?
We park far, but we don't take the elevator. Unless like when we first get there with luggage, yes, because obviously taking luggage down a bunch of stairs is not the funnest. We're trying to be hardcore, and I was like, is there an entrance anywhere? Because I don't know how much longer I can go with this suitcase. But like we don't take the stairs when you're coming down. We don't take the escalator going down. We try to like take the steps that are going down. You know what I'm saying? Like we try our best because we've been sitting on an airplane for so long. But anyway, that was my point today, was just about pretty much discipline. Like, where are you? Think about where you are right now in June in life. Like, where are you in your goal setting? How have you been? Have you been achieving them? Have you not been achieving them? You know, like all those things, as we're we're halfway. Is that not crazy to say you're halfway through 2023?
Dude, it's insane.
How are we almost in 2024? I don't get that.
I think about it every day, so I still can't give you an answer for that.
Okay, so y'all, Penny graduated pre-K this Friday. You know, I can't believe she's a little kindergartner. She cracks me up though. Like, it's official. I think Penny probably is going to take some kind of like theater camp this summer because it's her jam. It's what she wants to do. She loves to be able to act and pretend. And I think I want to fight it so bad where I don't want her to kind of do that. But she truly, truly enjoys it. Like, she wants to make videos all the time, and she's the director, and she tells you how to do it. Ask Juan. He's always like, I just stay out of it. He's like, because she gets mad if I try to tell her, if I try to direct her, she says, you don't understand, Juan. So, she's, I never thought that a little 4-year-old knows what they want to do. You know, most kids say, I want to be a doctor, and then they'll change to a police officer, or, she's pretty much made up her mind. She kind of knows what she wants to do. Because I gave her the option of going into dance or taking a little, theater summer camp. And she said, what does that mean? And I said, well, you get to act and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, I really want to act. She's like, I said, so you don't want to do dance? She goes, not really. And I was like, okay. I was really trying to force the dance, you know.
You don't want to be like mommy when mommy was your age?
She's like, yeah, I wish mommy wasn't dance at that age. I was older, unfortunately. But yeah, so she knows what she wants. And whenever they said her name at graduation, it was the most cutest thing ever. She comes out and she's like this. Like, bitches, y'all see me? If y'all don't see me, now y'all do. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was not playing. She was like,
her little pageant wave.
Yeah, totally. It was
together.
Like waving at everybody, and everybody was laughing, like you could hear the chuckle in the audience because here she comes out so confident, and it was like,
I can see it.
Pete always says, what is it? What are his 3 words? Confidence, attitude. I can't remember the third one. And when I dropped Penny off in her class, because they did a performance, like an end of the year concert, all the grades did. And what I mean by grades, it's like the 2-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, and then them, And Pete's like, did you tell her attitude, confidence, something? I forget.
I'm trying to think so hard because I hear it all the time.
Attitude, confidence.
Is it enthusiasm?
No.
Attitude, confidence. Damn.
I can't remember the third one, y'all. He says this all the time.
Yeah.
Attitude, confidence. Gosh. Okay. Anyway. And so he goes, did you tell Penny? And I was like, no. I said, look at this girl. She don't need none. Like, I was like, she does not need none. I was like, she is full of it. I was like, I do not need to remind her to have attitude and much less confidence. And then Pete goes, well, then we should kind of be proud of ourselves, don't you think? He's like, because that means we're raising a confident little girl.
Yeah.
He's like, which I think that's what a lot of little girls lack right now in this day and age when, they're influenced by social media. I said, let's not speak too fast. See, she doesn't have social media yet.
Yeah.
So she doesn't see.
She's 4.
She's 4. She doesn't see anything yet. Her idea is what she sees on YouTube. So that's her form of social media. Is the YouTubers, because that's what she would like to do. She wants to start gaming too, because she follows a little girl who games. And so I'm like, this is, because I told her, I said, do you understand how dumb this is? I did. I told her, so do you understand how dumb this is? You're watching another kid play. I said, so if your friend Michelle came over right now, you're going to tell me you're going to sit there and watch her play this whole time instead of you playing? She goes, well, I don't have this game. I said, well, how can I get this game for you? And she's like, I don't know. Because she doesn't know, right? Because she doesn't download her apps. I do all that stuff for her. She's like, I don't know. I said, well, what's the name of the game? She's like, it's right there. And so I'm like looking for it. I said, okay, well, we're going to get your iPad. I said, and we're going to download the game. I said, and anytime I see you watching this little girl again, I'm going to tell you to go get your iPad and you're going to play the game. I don't understand that. Like, you need to play the game.
Jeez,
Do not watch somebody. Doesn't make sense to me to watch somebody play a game. Like, it just doesn't.
The twins love watching certain creators.
Oh my God, I know. So does she, and she knows them all. You know, and it's like the funniest. It's like not even like Roblox or whatever. It's like now it's like this robber game. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what the name of it is, but that little girl's name's like Cherry something.
There's a couple of them that are super famous already.
And she's good. That little girl, I'm not going to lie to you. And here's why I like her. She's pretty straight to the point.
Yeah.
She doesn't like overdo it. And she's not like, like I can't stand when there's another one. Oh, crazy thing is Mickey used to watch Dan DTM, I think is his name.
Okay.
Something like that. I can stand him, his voice. Because he's kind of has like a little European accent. And so when she would play, I'd be like, Mickey, please put on your headphones. Or we'd be like, turn it down. Please turn it down. You know what I'm saying? And now Penny happened to find him. And I think she found him because she watches that little girl. And then obviously it feeds you somebody else. Anyway, she's watching it. And I'm just like, I know that voice. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, where do I know this voice from? Where do I know this voice from? And I go and I look and I was like, yep. I said, look who's watching this now. I said, she's watching it too. And I said, so when I explained to Penny how rich she's making people by watching their YouTube videos, she was like, oh. So she's like, hey, we all need to be watching my videos. I said, we sure do. We sure do. And then now she's asking me, how much money did we make off my video? I said, none yet, girl, because you got 22 followers. I'm like, you need a lot of followers to start making money on YouTube. I said, when you start making money, I'll let you know. But yeah, so coming up with this whole plan of attack for the remainder of the year. And so I just kind of want to remind you guys what are you doing to stay disciplined? Ask yourself that. What are you doing to take action in completing whatever it is that you set for the year? I don't like making New Year's resolutions. I think they're kind of silly personally. I know a lot of people make them, but if you did make them, how's it going? Like, comment below if you're watching this on the YouTube channel. Comment below. Let us know how you're doing with your goal setting for the year is what I like to call it and that's why I started doing the quarterly, the monthly goal setting versus doing a yearly thing. It's like, it's really kept me accountable. Yeah, big time, especially with my business. That's where I've been.
Well, I can't wait to get into that on the Patreon episode, right? Which, by the way, so I want to hit on this before we wrap up this public episode. Patreon rolled out a new feature. And that feature has been asked for years from content creators and people that work on Patreon, and that's free trials. Did you know this? We hadn't talked yet. I hadn't seen Marisol. So this is going to drop on Wednesday. So you're going to hear this basically the day after we recorded it. And we're going to come up with a plan between now and Friday, which is where the Patreon episode drops. But now you can do a 7-day trial of anybody's Patreon account, right? So it's like signing up for Netflix, signing up for Disney, or all that other nonsense that you might be subscribed to, which is fine if you have kids, I understand. But we're going to come up with a plan. We're going to roll it out this Friday. So if you're not a subscriber, if you've never subscribed to the Patreon, go to Patreon and search for HERR Lounge Podcast or patreon.com/HERR Lounge Podcast and sign up for a free trial. Get the extra content, get any of the extra perks that you see in all the tiers there, and then decide for yourself if you want to, give it a try. A lot of people were hesitant because you're like, I don't want to pay for it up front, or maybe if I don't like it, and then I'll lose my $5 or $10 or whatever it is you sign up for. But now you can do a free trial, and there's no excuse to not sign up and try out, joining the community, the HERR Lounge community.
Exactly. Come on over. It's so much fun, which we're going to talk about in the next episode. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you haven't yet, guys, go follow us on social media, HERR Lounge Podcast on Instagram, HERR Lounge Podcast on YouTube. Help us grow. Tell a friend. Share this episode. Make sure you're rating us on Apple as well. We can't grow if you don't tell others about us. Thank you so much for listening.
El Facebook.
Oh, and Facebook, y'all.
Fire.
Whoever is watching on Facebook, I'm going to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because y'all be making some of my stuff go viral, which we didn't know because we don't pay attention to it, because we don't use it. We have to have it for the sake of being able to post, correct?
On Instagram, yeah.
On Instagram. So that's the only reason why we have it. So thank you guys so much for keeping it popping over there. To the Facebook folks, I don't use Facebook, so thanks. See y'all next week.